Thank you so much for the kind words. HungryGoWhere does seem like a success now, but I think in order to understand what we went through, you have to go back to the very beginning before we started. And since this session is about courage, taking risks, having belief in your dreams, right? I need to bring you back to the days when I was still a civil servant. So I'm going to split this session into two for me. I know I have only 20 minutes. I'll try to tighten it. Courage to actually start and courage to actually continue. All right, because the success definitely wasn't instant. It was very painful for the first 3 years. So I would go back to the beginning, the courage to start. So I need to first let you know that it was very, very scary for me. Why? Because I wasn't some natural born entrepreneur. I wasn't someone who was selling bottle caps or Washington Post like Warren Buffett at the age of 5 or Coca-Cola and understanding everything about entrepreneurship by the time I was 20, right? In fact, it was the other way around. I was actually your role model student. Yes, I'm the one, the take one, okay, the Hokkien. Okay, I'm the one who was actually just thinking of studying, getting a good job. But two things changed my life, right? So what happened is, the first thing is, during my NS, I was actually offered a PSC scholarship. All right, to cut a long story short, I was in a really, really xiong unit. Okay, and they were telling me, Dennis, I think your grades are good enough. I'm of course making all this up, right? But the thing is, your grades are good enough. Would you rather go overseas to study, right? Go punting, backpacking across Europe, or do you want to continue staying on in combat engineers? I was like, let me think about it. Where's the pen? Okay, but the thing is this, I've always seen myself as pursuing a career, right? Either in the big companies or in the civil service, right? I've always seen as someone who would work my way up, right? Work hard, work your way up and be a success there. Now, the thing though, after I went overseas, I actually started getting ideas because I was inspired when I went to the UK, right? As you know, London School of Economics is actually a pretty inspiring school because there are a lot of rebels there, right? And I must share with you that the first time I attended lecture there, I was actually stunned when the students actually talked back at the lecturers, not even in a polite way. They would say like, Professor Smith, you are clearly wrong. And I almost fell on my chair, right? I was like, he talked back at the professor, right? And what's amazing is the professor actually answered in a very dignified way as well, because I assumed that the professor must have been a rebel himself, right? So he identified with the guy. He said, yes, young man, could you pray tell me why I am wrong, right? So it set me thinking, right, that there is indeed a different path out there. That's the first thing. And the second thing, and a lot of my friends always said, oh, now you're a PhD scholar, OMS, right? You've been civil service for life, you know. Oh no, poor thing, right? There's always this association with scholars, right? So, you know, I would always laugh with it because I didn't know what to expect. Now, what's amazing is I did spend 4 amazing years in that 8-year bond that I served in this office called the Scenario Planning Office. I was given, for those of you who know what that is, I was given the license to be a futurist. And that actually changed my life a lot as well, because I was given the opportunity. Thank you so much, PSC. There you go. For broadening my mind and letting me understand about a future world that's about to come. Why is that important? Because I think that we're not taking risks. All of us here are not taking risks for the sake of taking risks. We're taking risks because we know that change is coming. And because change is coming, right, we're trying to reposition ourselves. So the whole idea here is it gave me all these thoughts in my head. Right, and it made me think, Dennis, you have already done 8 years, as when my bond was completing. Dennis, you've already done 8 years. You've already served the country. There's a lot of amazing things you have done with your team already. Now, before you actually get married, before you actually have children, so at the time not yet, would you like to try something different? Because I always believe that if you make yourself a success out there, there's always an opportunity to serve your country again. And because I've already finished serving my bond. Now, but the scary part, and that's what I need to tell you, the scary part is I've already served 8 years, right? I've already built up all that relationships and networks in the service. I was already very happy working with everyone there, right? Making our own difference in our own ways. Then to start from scratch again, that was a scary part. And it was not just me. I had 2 co-founders as well, right, who were telling me, Dennis, are you sure you're serious about it? Huh? And they always joke lah. They say, you high flyer, why you want to join us? Then the reverse is true when I came out. They said, ha ha ha, we convinced you to come out and join us. And we screw up your life, right? So the funny thing is, it was scary because we were stepping into the unknown. HungryGoWhere is actually, to cut a long story short, a vision of bringing social media and democratizing the entire F&B space where information flow is concerned, right? Now at that time, no one believed it would work because we were actually very early in 2006, right? So we were actually daring each other to come out to resign. Our resignation letters were ready and they were saying, Dennis, have you submitted your resignation letter? You sure or not? You photocopy and show me. Show me your email, right? So the thing is, we literally had to break what we call crossing the Rubicon. We actually had to burn the bridge because otherwise we wouldn't be fully committed in this experiment that we were doing. Now, that's the first part, the courage to start, right? It was already crazy enough. The amazing thing though is the courage to continue was even tougher, right? And we had to find even more courage for that. Because when we went out, we had assumed that all the restaurant owners, the advertisers would understand social media immediately, right? Because it's so focused, it's definitely better than traditional media when it comes to advertising. Because the only reason people come to HungryGoWhere is because they are hungry. Not for soccer, not for the war in Afghanistan, not for the weather, nothing. It's because they're hungry. How difficult is it for that to get through, right? In terms of communicating that. But sure enough, they didn't understand because social media was something that they say only young people use. Facebook only young people use. At the time, no Twitter, no Instagram yet. YouTube just came out as well only, right? So there was no money for 3 years. For the first 3 years, 2006 to 2008, we had no money. And that's why I say the courage to continue. And people have asked me, Dennis, if there's one attribute or characteristic that you need to be an entrepreneur, what would it be if you had to summarize to just one? And I think that now looking back, is you need to actually believe in the vision of what you are doing, the value you're actually delivering to your audience. Okay, let me give you an example. One of the things I felt that I'll be delivering to my audience when I came out to do this, right, is it's a very simple value proposition. I'm helping them find the best food at the fastest time, right, and saving tons of calories along the way. How do I know that? Because I myself am a yao kui. I love to eat. I love my bak chor mee. I love my char kway teow. And I love my ojian. The problem is all these very high cholesterol, a lot of calories, right? And I'm going to try a lot before I find the best one. So I was actually saying, why don't we actually expedite the whole process, help our foodies, lovers out there, find the best food fastest, in the fastest possible manner, right? A very simple one, not even change the whole world kind of thing. It helped me so much because in the first 3 years, no salary, right? There were a lot of emails though, there was a lot of publicity on us because there were 3 crazy guys leaving their full-time jobs, so-called high-flying careers, to do a food website that cannot make money. So what was it in this darkest moment that sustained me, that encouraged me, is really the fact that we are actually making a difference. And it's so clear because a lot of emails will be coming saying, you guys are crazy. Your parents are worried about you, your relatives are worried about you, what are you doing, right? You can't even make money, how are you going to survive? And then at the end, but thank you so much for actually helping us find the best bak chor mee, right? So you see, all of you here are pursuing big dreams. I won't even say mine is the biggest, right? But these examples of making a difference really kept my team going. The other thing is helping the small F&B establishments survive. You guys all know everything about the problems in the F&B industry. High rental costs, high labor turnover, right? Now, a lot of them have no chance against the big boys. But a lot of passionate chefs out there, a lot of passionate restaurant owners out there. This, again, was another reason why we wanted to keep HungryGoWhere going, right? We wanted to make sure that we are leveling the playing field so that really people with the most passion or the best food have a chance. We don't want it to be just a fully commercialized operation where the food is mediocre. You know what I'm saying? So once again, another thing that drove us, and it encouraged us so much when we saw this being delivered to the restaurant owners, right? A lot of them were actually saying, thank you so much for helping us reach out to such a wide audience at a small fraction of the cost. Because traditionally, you got to go through maybe newspapers or magazines or bus ads or taxi ads, which you know is not cheap, right? Here, you can actually reach out to your audience in a very targeted manner, right? So, but yet, why was it so tough? So a lot of encouragement, but at the same time, we were running out of money. And let me share with you our lowest moment where in the third year, our savings were wiped out. There was no VCs, no angel investors then. And, right, there was no money left in the bank. We have not convinced the restaurant owners to advertise with us. We were down to our last project where my founders were telling me, Dennis, if we do not turn it around in the next 3 months, one of us must go back to work because there's 3 of us, right, to keep the business going and earn a salary. And because Dennis, you're the oldest, you seem to be the smartest Simonia, you go. But your salary must divide 3 ways. So we called that project Armageddon. It was our last chance. The money was dry. The users, 500,000 already a month at that time. It was a lot, but we couldn't sustain it, right? It was our last chance, okay? And that's why we had to do everything to survive. Before we even got to that point, we were already doing all kinds of odd jobs just to show you what we had to do to survive, right? We were doing food tours. We couldn't do advertising, but Singaporeans were willing to pay if you bring them on a tour of the best food in Singapore. So I ended up being a tour guide. See, totally non-core, you know. Holding umbrella, over here, bak chor mee, started in 1921. Vinegar, cui, oh, very shook. Okay? So we were doing everything to survive, okay? And we got to that point, Project Armageddon. Amazingly, it actually turned around then. So 3 years of suffering, no income, no salary. The 3 years was 2006 to 2008. If all of you remember, 2006 to 2008 was an amazing bright spot in the global economy. US, fantastic. China, red hot. Europe, no problems yet. Everyone's bonuses were going up. The newspapers were rubbing it in for us, saying record bonuses for all, but they forgot to accept the 3 HungryGoWhere founders. I would go to class gatherings, reunions, meet up with my old colleagues. Everyone's car was getting bigger. The 3 of us were cycling there. Right? So I just want to tell you, if you ever feel down, if you ever felt dispirited, right? If you ever feel that the journey is tough, come and talk to me. I promise you, I'll make you feel better. Okay? So I'll wrap up soon. So I just want to tell you, the most important thing, if I have to summarize once again, remember your vision. And it has to be something that is above yourself. I always tell people, if it's just for the money, if it's just for the profits, if it's just for the fame, the status, now everyone say, wow, Dennis, you're very famous, you know, very good, huh? I said, yeah, but you know what? I got so many scars already. I'm so traumatized by the first 3 years, right? Sometimes I wish that fame can be exchanged for money in the first 3 years, okay? Because it's so tough in the first 3 years. So what I always tell people is, don't look at the fame, don't look at the success, all right? Look instead, what are you trying to change? What difference are you thinking of making to the audience that you're reaching out to? Because in your darkest moments, right, that is exactly what will keep you going. Because many times I actually question myself, Dennis Goh Hao Guang, what are you doing? Why? There were more self-doubts, right? Especially when I kept getting rejected by the advertisers, the restaurants, and so forth. It brought me back to, why do you actually leave the service to do this? What is the value you're delivering? And that's actually what kept me going after that, because I could see what I was doing. I could see the value that was being delivered. So everyone, please continue to pursue your dreams, and don't forget, I'm always there to make your day feel better. Thank you.